Hello, welcome back. This is week 3, and we are finally outperforming everything. So, look at this. So, here on Tuesday, I stopped some of my shorts, I closed them, and then I decided to go. I was neutral a couple of days, waited for the GDP reports and the job numbers, and then I started to go long. We had a 2% gain, an 8% gain, and then a 10% gain. So we're talking about a 21% gain this week. Um, yeah, it was this is probably one of my best weeks. Actually, I don't know, but this is one of the top ones for sure. I kind of decided not to do this anymore, and then I just switched over as that was not working. So yeah, you can see the big boost. Um, so last week was almost 10% negative 10. This week is almost above 20%. Now, this week was one of my worst weeks, to be honest. So, like, I mean, we've seen SPY has had its greatest or the longest 9 day. Um, it's had 9 consecutive green days in a row, which hasn't happened since the last 20 years. So, really, I mean, it's kind of where, like, okay, yeah, I was getting totally I was totally getting cooked here because it was really, we had one of the longest streaks. And then I decided to close it on Tuesday, or no, Monday, and then I was neutral a couple days, and then I decided to switch over. So, yeah. So over here, we're actually outperforming NASDAQ barely by like 0.5, I think, something like that. NASDAQ has gone up like 10%. Um, yeah, it's gone up a lot. So it's gone up 3.4% this week. And then we've gone 21.5, which is insane, and then 4 to 5, which is pretty good. Overall, though, it's up 7.6 really. So, I mean, if you don't take out the losing week for Nasdaq or where it lost a little from the bottom to the peak, it's gone up almost like 10%. So really, that's really impressive. I mean, we haven't seen that in a long time. So to be outperforming at this stage really just sets it so that if it starts going a little worse, then we'll have a greater edge, and then we should be good. And we actually went back to outperforming 50% of days, which is the goal. So that's pretty good. S&P, so we're outperforming by a greater gap, a gap of around 1.6%. And then we outperformed 60% of days, so 1 day less than NASDAQ. Overall, 6%. And then here we have 43% of days, so we're getting there to the 50. Dow Jones is the one we're performing the most. This one's quite a big gap. Here, so we can see this week only did 3% only, and 60% of days too here. And then over here we had so it's overall 2.8%. So this one we are performing by a good margin, but we are also 50% of days hitting the Dow Jones target. Overall here, so these are all the 3 graphs. You got Nasdaq, SPY, Dow Jones. And really we're over here, so barely on top. Yeah, this is really good because over here I was deciding what to do, and then I switched over, and then that really improved it. So we are back on track, and it looks pretty good. So over here, last week we were negative 1.7, so this is the worst point. We were losing basically, this is on average each day, and now we're winning on average each day 0.51, and our goal is 0.17, so we're well above the goal. You can see here it was the 2% day, then the 8, yeah, then the 8, and then the 10, which is really big. So yeah, and this is kind of each day, so it's from the 0 mark. So yeah, okay. So here we have the graph for this week. Monday we were neutral, Tuesday we were neutral, and then I switched over. The first day I switched over, we actually started getting green days because we hadn't even gotten a single green day since I switched over, right, because these were neutral days. And then I got out, and then basically, we started switching, so this was a really good day. This was a very good day, and this was exceptional. I didn't think this day would even happen. I was kind of just riding with it, so I was like, damn. And then I actually closed all the positions, so we're back to all cash, and then I'll probably redecide what to do on Monday. My ideas do the same thing. I just gotta find a re-entry point, so we'll see. We got the Fed this week, yeah, on Wednesday. So here we finally have our first green days. That's very good. We have 3 neutral days, 3 green days, and 8 red days. So I mean, kind of 6 of these if you count them. Hopefully we overall in the next until May 30th. We hope that the green is over the red. That's the goal for now, but at least we're back on track. And then I only done 2 trades really these last 3 weeks, so one of them was bad, one of them was good, so that's 50%. Over here, so our mean gain is 507 for each day, and our mean loss is negative 1.2, and this increased by 5% from the 0 and the negative 1.5, so we did decrease it by a bit, and those are mostly because of the neutral days. Over here, so our standard deviation did increase by a lot. I mean, those last 3 days, 2, 8, and 10, so they're kind of outliers there. They skewed it quite a bit. Over here, you have the S&P. So S&P did decrease their losses and their gains, but it still had a lot of green days, and then the losses stayed the same because it had 0 green and red days. And then over here, the standard deviation did decrease, which is good for the S&P. So over here, our division of our average gains divided by our average losses, and then you have the same thing for SPY. So how much, how much in ratio wise are we doing better to the S&P in winning and losing ratio? So if our ratio is greater than the S&P, that means that we're managing our wins and losses better than SPY. This is only one metric though, but so if this is greater, that's very good. Last week we were about 0, which is not bad, but I mean, yeah. And then these numbers are kind of just an idea. We could be, if we were losing negative 0.83, this ratio would be the same. Right now we're negative 1.2, and if we were only gaining 0.73, right now it's 507, we would have the same ratio. The important thing is also how many of these days you have, because to reach this, I could have big losing days and I'd be underperforming. So we don't want to reach these levels, but it's just an idea. Over here, so last week we were 0.73, our standard deviation was less than SPY by quite a bit, which is good. Now it's quite a bit greater. Now this was where it was around last quarter, so it's quite a bit greater. If we have a higher standard deviation, that means we should try to have higher gains, right, because we're risking more. So then if we want to balance that out, we're trying to go for higher gains this quarter. We'll see. And then our difference is 3.65, so that's still very good. I think this is one of the highest differences I've had. Over here, transactions barely increased. And then we have done 0 day trades here. And then you can see our overall is 7.724. Last week it was negative 11. So very good, very good. This is basically a 20% increase. And yeah, I'm pretty optimistic right now. Still got to be careful. Right now we're all cash, which is good. I don't want to be risking too much. I'm still risking. I've only done the 40% last quarter. At some points I did go 100%, which did cause the big drops. And now this drop was really only caused by the 40%, so that was quite big. And now we increased it with only the 40%, which is important. So yeah, we're going back up. We got the Fed. So I'll probably see what I do this week. I mean, it's kind of obvious that SPY is not going to be able to keep this insane winning streak. So, kind of red day is inevitable at some point. So really just got to wait for that and then start buying. That's mostly the plan. So we'll see. But see you. Bye.